when you get to a point that your truth starts matching your consciousness, then you never have to be afraid of you never have to write a speech again, let's put it that way. And Yogi Bhajan, we never even saw him read a book, let alone ever have anything prepared. And we never saw notes around him of what to say next or what he was planning to say. And I used to wonder, how can he ever do that? How can one just trust what's going to come out of their mouth without fear that it would be something that, whoops, I didn't mean that, or whoops, I didn't plan to say that, or I take that back. When your consciousness can come in and start matching your words, then they can become amalgamated, you might say. And so we're going to do a kriya at the end of the yoga that will help us to free our tongue. Because without a tongue, you can't speak, right? There's no power to speak without your tongue. It's been now medically and scientifically acknowledged that the first organ that comes into this body, when the first cells divide after the sperm and the egg come together in a mother's womb, is the heart. It's always been supposed it was the brain, because this, as Yogi Bhajan called it, this melon on top of your head was supposed to then direct the rest of the body. Because that's what Western intellectual thought patterns wanted us to think, because they wanted the intellect to own the rest of us, eliminating the soul, eliminating consciousness, eliminating the heart. Now they're finding that the heart, and it was just written up in some medical magazine recently, is the first cell division is the heart. And as I said in class the other day, the second is the tongue. There's a muscle that goes from the heart to the tongue. So when you put those together, then you see how connected your speech is to your heart. But if you're taught over and over that what you say has to come from the intellect, the mind, that's when you write speeches. That's when you're afraid to speak. That's when you're afraid something will come out that you have to take back. But when this connects with this, then you're home free. And it's really a relief. And what if we were to teach that to our children in school, in preschool, in elementary school? The life would shape so much differently. Well, the education would shape so much differently, wouldn't it? Because we value information so much. Nowadays, you don't really even need to hardly remember anything. You can Google everything. You can put that thing in your car. You don't have to remember addresses, phone numbers, anything. You want to know anything on anyone, just Google their name and it's right there. True or not, I don't know if it is. I was with an acupuncturist the other day in New York, and she said, very interesting, this heart muscle tongue. She said, in acupuncture, when someone has laryngitis, which isn't the power to speak your truth, you can't speak at all, the voice just cuts off, right? What's the meridian in acupuncture that opens up the throat? The heart meridian. So we're finding more and more, and Drumbalo, who is an amazing writer, scientist, physicist, and mystic from America, a divine soul, said this a long time ago when he wrote the book Living in the Heart, Living from the Heart. It's an amazing book that again has this evidence that it's not just a Hallmark greeting card. The heart. If we take this space inside of us and assume this is the source of who we are, the soul resides in a single cell, in a single atom, in this heart chakra, and start spending more time listening to your heart, speaking from your heart, it works. It's not just a metaphor. It really works. And then, as I told the class yesterday, what happens then is you perceive and you automatically go to intuition. If you've only lived in your mind, then you'll perceive and take it up to your library of intellect to try to analyze it, dialogue with the facts and figures, and then you leave this out, and you leave the sixth sense, the third eye point, the pituitary gland out, and then you conclude from the intellect, which is not based on truth. It's just based on facts and figures from outside information. But when you rely on intuition, which develops so nicely through Kundalini Yoga and meditation and sadhana, then you can start realizing and practicing. You perceive, you go right to intellect, you go right to intuition rather than intellect, and then you automatically become a healer. You gather information through perception, you go right into the sixth sense, and then you're able to help that person. Most doctors don't have that ability. Some of them do, but most of them don't, because they've been trained so intellectually. They'll go to their medical books, they'll go to their pharmaceutical books, they'll go to the modern diagnosis as popular at the time. And as we know, I think there's not a day that goes by that they don't find another dis-ease with another name. There's so much. If it's ADD, ADHD, it goes on and on and on, and there's syndromes for unbelievable things that you can't even imagine. How could this be a syndrome or a psychosis? You know, it's just most likely what a person eats, or if they exercise, or how they deal with emotions. But we like to put it in an intellectual box, and then right besides that box is a pharmaceutical. And this is how the Western, we call medicine is. And living on the other side of the world in the ancient technology, we find not so. And we find that the Western world is so much taking over our whole lives. In diagnosis, in medication, and so much education. And I wish and I pray that you all begin to question everything. Everything you read, everything of your medical doctors tell you, whatever it is, it has to feel like it's truth. How does that feel? Well, that's what we're going to do today. How does it feel? How can you trust becoming fearless? When the fear leaves, then you have a direct connection to God, or to intuition, or to all-knowingness, and you don't doubt it. And then you're able to say, I know, because I know. Someone say, how do you know? Because I know. And you know. But if you have that block of, I don't know anything, I don't know, I gotta go ask somebody, I gotta ask my doctor what's wrong with me, I gotta go to my psychic, my astrologer, I have to go to my yoga teacher, I don't know, then you won't know, and then you won't get any information of knowingness. And the ability to perceive into intuition will not be present. And that's the beauty of Kundalini Yoga. And it was a basic projection that Yogi Bhajan brought to us. He left his body, it will be almost 9 years next month, right before really what we have in the world now is a crisis. You kind of live in a little wonderful, wonderful, wonderful place here. And yeah, you have your challenges, for sure, like every human being in every country and city does. But if you've traveled, which most people have here, you'll see the whole world is in exactly like this. Not like you have a little bubble here, because you definitely have challenges. But your nature and so many things are so sublime here. But as we travel the world, as we do, we find there's a lot of confusion going on in people's lives and in the environment. And he also said that the only way now we can take this world and take it to its rightful place of peace and love and enough for all, balanced environment, waters, mountains, land, animals, is through our consciousness. Again, the intellect can't heal anything, and it can't heal the world. All the research, can it help? Questionable. Because there's so much corporations and there's so much government, there's so much that people want out of it. Otherwise, companies like Monsanto would never exist, because they would see the destruction that they're doing in third world countries such as India. They would have a consciousness, we can't do this. People are dying because of what we're doing. But they don't. So, what will shift and make this world so your children and your grandchildren and 5 generations behind us can live in peace and harmony and balance, is through the shift of our consciousness. Because the world is only a portrayal of how man's consciousness is. We're a collectivism, 7 billion of us. And as we think and as we live and as we do, is how the world is. It's the same as your mind. Your mind, through your thoughts, has created what you say. And what you say is what this is. You see? Flu didn't run in from out there. Cancer didn't run out from there. It doesn't come from the outside. It comes from inside. Your thoughts. So if our collective thoughts are, let us serve humanity, let us bow to the Mother Earth, let us allow each animal and species to live, let's stop killing animals to eat them. We don't need them. We have plenty of other things God gave us. And on like that. There will come a balance on planet Earth. If not, there won't. No research, no anything will work. So our prayer today is to live truth and speak truth and be true. Thereby, we in this room will be giving an offering to bringing the balance of planet Earth. This is way bigger than just this room. Way bigger what we're doing here than just doing it for ourselves, rolling our mats out, hoping we feel better. We will feel better. We may not right in the middle of it, but in the end we will. But it's also such a contribution to the whole world this morning. So let us bring our hands together. Thank you once again.